8 o'clock on Monday evening, October 4th, 2021. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Let's see, we have 20 items on this evening's agenda, and I will ask the city clerk to please read agenda item number 1.
Minutes, City Council meeting, September 27th, 2021.
Mr. President?
Councilor Doucette.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Motion to accept and place on file?
Motion made and second to accept and place on file. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? It is unanimous and is approved to file the minutes. Agenda item number 2.
Now is the time for the public hearing on the application for special permit from Attorney Brian Falk on behalf of Aubuchon Realty Company, Inc. for 2 drive-through facilities associated with a new Starbucks and a bank at the Wayside Crossing Plaza, 661 Boston Post Road East, order number 21-100-8395.
Okay, this public hearing will be taken in 4 stages. Public speaking in favor, starting with the applicant, then questions from the public, public speaking in opposition, and then questions from the council. And I would ask each person speaking to please approach the microphone and give their name and address. So with that, we'll open it up with the public speaking in favor, starting with the applicant.
Thank you, President Ossing. Councilors, for the record, Brian Falk from Myrick O'Connell, 100 Front Street in Worcester, here on behalf of the applicant, Aubuchon Realty Company, Inc. Joining me from our project team is Aubuchon President Eamon Moran, Matt Bombasi from Bowler Engineering, and Sean Kelly, our traffic consultant from Vanessa & Associates. Seeking a special permit for the expansion of the Wayside Crossing Plaza located at 661 Boston Post Road East in front of the Target Plaza. Mr. Clerk, can we bring up the presentation? Got it. Thank you very much. So Aubuchon purchased this property in June and looks forward to enhancing the retail options at the site. The project involves the expansion of the site's existing building to add a retail unit and a bank with a 2-lane drive-through facility. The project also involves adding in the open space on the west side of the site a new Starbucks coffee shop building with a drive-through facility, walk-up window, indoor and outdoor seating. Parking at the site will increase from 48 to 66 spaces, and the project will include landscaping and pedestrian bicycle upgrades consistent with the requirements of the Wayside Zoning District. Site access will be from the Target driveway using 2 existing curb cuts and a new curb cut near the drive-through lanes. Pre-existing uses at the site will remain unchanged. Because the site is located in the Wayside Zoning District, the City Council serves as the special permit granting authority and the site plan approval authority. In addition to this application, we submitted our traffic study by Vanessa & Associates and a site plan review application, which we submitted this week. I'm now going to turn to Matt Bombasi from Bowler to walk us through the site plan.
Good evening. For the record, Matt Bombasi with Bowler Engineering, 352 Turnpike Road in Southborough. As Brian had noted, the site is an existing 8,800 square foot commercial building. Uses inside the existing building consist of a Champion Cleaners, H&R Block, and a dental office. The project proposes a 2,100 square foot retail space attached to the 8,800 square foot building, along with a bank attached to the same with a drive-through, and a separate coffee shop of 2,250 square feet. The project proposes a new full access curb cut on the left or the western side of the lot between the proposed coffee shop and the proposed bank. The existing curb cut, which currently is along the west side of the existing building, will serve as access to operations behind the existing and proposed buildings, and the existing one-way access by the Champions Cleaner is going to remain as is. The project designed the coffee shop with a full 11-car queue, each queue space being 20 feet long, and also a full bypass lane around the outside of that. Fully screened trash enclosures are proposed for the coffee shop and also behind the proposed retail space, fully screened with a solid wood fence, and also landscape screening where the trash enclosures border on shared common drives. In designing the project in consideration with the Wayside District, we took into consideration many of those provisions, one of them being that pedestrian access and connectivity. The project proposes full pedestrian connectivity from from Boston Post Road through the site to both pad sites, and then to the sidewalk infrastructure associated with the Target retail store. We also maintained proposed landscape buffers along the front and sides, in particular a 50-foot front landscape buffer along the Boston Post Road side, along with several trees and shrubs, including some additional trees and shrubs along the existing retail space to beef up that landscaping. The project also proposes, as part of this project, to modernize the existing retail building with some updated colors and some structural improvements, and to mill and overlay the existing paved parking lot, which is fallen into a little bit of disrepair. For utilities, the project proposes a stormwater design in compliance with the stormwater handbook, which we anticipate working through with the site plan review committee. Water and sewer not anticipated to be significant users of those or any noxious wastes. And the project is proposed with dark sky compliant lighting, shielded from abutting properties where possible. We did prepare a traffic study, which we submitted to this council and also to the site plan review committee. That'll be reviewed with the site plan review committee and also with Mass DOT. This road's under Mass DOT jurisdiction. I'll also note, as many are likely aware, that Boston Post Road is very soon going to be undergoing a project by Mass DOT for improvements. That includes a proposed bicycle lanes, improvements to the intersections, and also signage improvements at the right-in, right-out access point to the west of this site to discourage cars from trying to take a left into that with some one-way signage and no left turns.
Thank you, Matt. Just in conclusion, I want to mention that in addition to the formal abutters notices, we sent a letter to each abutter introducing our team so that neighbors have a point of contact. Prior to coming before you, we met with the site plan committee once informally in the spring, and then again on September 21st to identify technical issues. Council, as I mentioned, is the site plan approval authority for this project, but we're required to first go through administrative review with the site plan committee. We're on the committee's agenda for tomorrow morning to continue that review. Once the site plan committee completes its administrative review, we'll then appear before the urban affairs committee and then back to the full council. Appreciate your review of this application and look forward to addressing your questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Brian. Any other members of the public speaking in favor? Any other members of the public speaking in favor? Any other members of the public speaking in favor? Hearing none, I'll close that portion of the public hearing. Questions from the public? Any members of the public have any questions? Questions from the public? Any questions from the public? Hearing none, I'll close that portion of the public hearing. Public speaking in opposition. Any members of the public speaking in opposition? Members of the public speaking in opposition? Members of the public speaking in opposition? Hearing none, I'll close that portion of the public hearing. Questions from the City Council? Councilor Doucette.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. I just have a couple of questions. So you're going to be basically adding the curb cut, which is basically the one that's furthest west. And then right now within the building, you can go around the building, and you will not be able to do that anymore. So, and I actually like the way you kind of opened the corner that's closest to Target for visibility. I think that's an important part of this. But I'm concerned basically when you come out of that area, you know, if you go right, it's to go east because you're going around and then come up to the lights. And if you want to go west, you got to take a left and go through the lights at the send zone. So I'd like to see some sort of signage to avoid the confusion, because I can assure you right now, there's a bunch of crazy traffic that tries to take lefts or rights, you know, off of Route 20. Mostly, you know, lefts that into traffic, and it's, you know, it is a nightmare right now. So I don't want that to be any worse than this. So some sort of signage is something I think would be an important part of that. So, thank you.
Thanks. Thank you, Councilor Doucette. Councilor Orem.
Thank you, Mr. President. Through you to the Attorney General, staff.
Mike.
Thank you. Mike's back. Thank you, Mr. President. Questions I have, Attorney Falk, would be related to the actual traffic pattern in respect to the traffic light. So if I was, say, going into the coffee shop and leaving, and there's only one way out, correct? Am I correct with that? There's only one lane out?
Correct. The exit for the plaza is right where the drive-throughs exit.
I was just down there this afternoon, looking at your lot, but also going to Home Depot, and I prefer going to the lighted intersection. I had to go over to the Staples too, so I go back just so I can have that lighted traffic light for safety reasons. I'm concerned and maybe would ask that some reconsideration to get people to the traffic light. I know it's going to cause more traffic on DeCenzo Boulevard, but the traffic light seems to be, to some degree, helpful for anyone even going east. Unfortunately, traffic sometimes moves fast, and I know the light's up ahead, but it may, I don't know if the traffic engineers thought that out, if there's a way to get more access out of the facility, not just one lane, and two, try to get traffic to get to the traffic light. So that, I would just be, I would ask for some consideration for that. Thank you.
Thank you, Council Oram. Any other questions from the councilors? Any other questions from the councilors? Any other questions from the councilors? Hearing none, I'll close that portion of the public hearing and the entire public hearing, and this is in Urban Affairs.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, gentlemen. Agenda item number 3.
Communication from the mayor regarding gift acceptances in the amount of $495 from the Assabet River Rail Trail and $121.50 from Karen Ebner to be used for tree replacement along the Assabet River Rail Trail off Crowley Drive.
Councilor Irish.
Thank you, Mr. President. Motion to approve the gift, please.
Motion made and seconded to approve both gifts. Any discussion on the motion? Hearing none. All those in favor? Opposed? It is unanimous. It is approved. Agenda item number 4.
Communication from the mayor regarding the appointment of Donna Scalcione to the Council on Aging Board for a 4-year term from date of council approval.
Councilor Dumas.
Thank you, Mr. President. Refer to personnel.
Motion made and seconded to refer to the Personnel Committee. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none. All those in favor? Opposed? It is unanimous to go to Personnel. Agenda item number 5.
Communication from the mayor regarding the appointment of Raymond McGee to the Council on Aging Board for a 4-year term from date of council approval.
Councilor Dumas.
Thank you, Mr. President. Refer to personnel as well.
Motion made and seconded to refer to the Personnel Committee. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none. All those in favor? Opposed? It is unanimous to go to Personnel. Agenda item number 6.
Communication from the mayor regarding request that the city council extend the housing moratorium on the acceptance of any new multifamily housing projects through December 31st, 2021.
Councilor Roby.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to refer to Urban Affairs and the Planning Board to set a public hearing for November 8th and advertise.
Motion made and seconded to refer to the Urban Affairs Committee, the Planning Board, to set a public hearing for November 8th and to advertise. Is there any discussion on the motion? Councilor Doucette.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. So the current moratorium was supposed to expire at what date? That wasn't
October 17th.
October 17th.
Right.
So really, this is just, whether or not we act on it or not, it continues to extend until between now and when the public hearing is and everything else, because this is going to the 31st, right?
We have to advertise. Once the advertising is
Right.
done, that puts the
Sets the clock, is that what we say?
construction folks on notice that the intent is there to extend the moratorium till the 31st, and then it's up to the council and the planning board to conduct their public hearing to formalize that.
Okay, okay. So, thank you for the
Does that
clarification.
help?
Yeah, as close as we can get to it. It's also trying to get anyone who's watching this to understand what's going on, too.
Well, and the rationale for it, as we'll hear in the public hearing, is the whole purpose of the moratorium was to get information from the state so we know when they come before us to build a housing complex, we know what the rules are for what 6 votes, 8 votes, where they can go, where they can't go.
Right.
State
That's
is,
now up in the air. so-
state is this close to giving us that guidance, so
I heard that before, too.
yeah, we may be here in January saying the same thing.
Yeah, thank you, sir.
Council Oram.
Thank you. I pretty much had the same questions as Councilor Doucette. I would ask, too, that maybe, from what you just mentioned, Mr. President, maybe we want to look at January 31st. I know we're waiting on the state, the governor's housing bill, and we don't know. It's like looking into a crystal ball and not knowing for sure when that's going to happen, but the lapse between when it ends and if we need to come back and do it again, I would ask that we consider maybe a call to our state leaders to say, does December 31st look reasonable for us to extend, or are you looking maybe into the next fiscal year, next calendar year? I would ask that that be considered, as well as the advertising. Will that, through to you, Mr. President, will the advertising be done immediately, like tomorrow?
Well,
So
soon,
yes.
well, by Friday, it's got to get to the paper, it doesn't go that
No,
quick.
I understand, but that's good. It's going to be done immediately.
Be done
that-
before the 17th.
Yes.
So the intent is there, so if anyone is thinking about getting in, maybe in between the gap, the intent's being made, so.
That is correct.
You've answered my questions. Just maybe if we need to do this again, if we do stay with the December 31st, we bring it to the council maybe in November and get it done so there's no gap.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. President.
Thank you, Councilor Orm. Any other councilors? Any other questions? Council Perlman?
Thank you, Mr. President. I was just curious at the public hearing what additional information will be provided to the council. I know we're still waiting on the state, but will there be any additional kind of, I guess, different possibilities being outlined to us, or we're not even at that stage to know the different streams that could be available from the state?
Again, the whole reason for our moratorium, this isn't done throughout the Commonwealth, this is just here in the city of Massachusetts, and the city of Marlborough. And the only reason we're doing it is because we want clear definition as to what the rules are when people come before us proposing multifamily housing complexes. And we don't have that. The state's supposedly putting guidance together, and it's supposed to be any day now, but the mayor just wants to be conservative to make sure we understand it before we start approving things.
Okay, and I know in the letter from the mayor, it did indicate some of the housing development that's already in production. If even that could be provided at the public hearing, just so we have a sense of what's in development from a macro scale, that would be very useful.
I'm sure you can phone call the mayor's office, and he'll be happy to give you all that information.
That sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilor Perlman. Any other councilors? Any other councilors on the motion to refer to urban planning, advertise a public hearing for November 8th, and to advertise? All those in favor? Opposed? It is unanimous. Agenda item number 7.
Communication from Solicitor Jason Grossfield regarding a request for executive session to discuss litigation strategy relative to WP Marlborough Mass Owner LLC versus the Marlborough City Council.
Councilor Roby.
Thank you, Mr. President. I'm going to move to have this be put on the agenda after number 20.
Motion made and seconded to move this item down to after agenda item number 20. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved to move to agenda item number 20 unanimously. Agenda item number 8.
Communication from Solicitor Jason Grossfield regarding request for executive session to consider the purchase or value of real property located at 100 Lock Drive.
Councilor Irish.
Thank you, Mr. President. Motion to move agenda item number 8 to be taken up after agenda item number 20, please.
Motion made and seconded to move agenda item 8 to after agenda item number 20. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Is approved to move to after agenda item number 20 unanimously. Agenda item number 9.
Communication from Solicitor Jason Grossfield regarding a request to transfer name and renew for an additional 5-year term the license for parking by the owners of 56 Emmett Street in proper legal form, order number 21-100-8394.
Councilor Roby.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to accept and place on file the solicitor's communication and move the document to number 13.
Motion made and seconded to move this item to agenda item number 13 and to accept and place on file the solicitor's communication. Any discussion on the motion? All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved unanimously. Agenda item number 10.
Application for modification of a special permit from Attorney Brian Falk on behalf of Garden Remedies, Inc., requesting to update the signage at the Marlborough Square Retail Plaza, 416 Boston Post Road East.
Councilor Roby.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to refer to Urban Affairs, set a public hearing for November 8th, and advertise.
Motion made and seconded to refer this item to Urban Affairs, set a public hearing for November 8th, and to advertise. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? It is approved unanimously. Agenda item number 11.
An application for site plan review from Attorney Brian Falk on behalf of Aubuchon Realty Company, Inc., related to the proposed expansion and upgrade of the retail plaza within the Wayside District at 661 Boston Post Road East.
Councilor Roby.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to refer to Urban Affairs.
Motion made and seconded to refer this item to the Urban Affairs Committee. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? It is approved to send to Urban Affairs, unanimous. Reports, oh, I got minutes, right? Yep. Minutes.
Minutes of boards, commissions, and committees.
Mr. President.
Councilor Doucette.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Motion to accept and place on file the minutes of the boards, commissions, and committees.
Motion's made and seconded to accept and place on file all the minutes. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? It is approved unanimous to accept and place on file the minutes. Now, reports get, now I'm in, okay. Councilor Roby.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Council Urban Affairs Committee met on Wednesday, September 29th. We had one item on our agenda, order number 21-100-8344, a communication from Attorney Falk on behalf of Marlborough Industrial LLC regarding the proposed zoning amendment to Chapter 650, Section 5 and Section 1836 by adding hobby vehicle storage as a warehousing use in the limited industrial district. This had been postponed in committee. We continued discussion on an amended version of the language for the hobby vehicle storage submitted by Attorney Falk. The changes included clarifying minor repair and adding personal land-based vehicles, clarifying that vehicles shall not be advertised for sale. The chair stated that after talking with the building commissioner and the city solicitor, 2 further amendments were suggested, adding the words incidental and accessory after the word minor, and adding passenger after the words personal land-based. Councilor Doucette moved to recommend adding incidental and accessory. The motion was seconded, and the motion carried 5-0. Councilor Wagner moved to recommend adding passenger after personal land-based. That was seconded, and the motion carried 5-0. Councilor Doucette moved to recommend approval of the proposed council order amending 650-5 definitions by adding the amended definition for hobby vehicle storage, and amend 650-1836 conditions for use by adding in the words hobby vehicle storage. The motion was seconded. The motion carried 5-0. There is a request tonight to suspend the rules to have this get sent to the solicitor to be put in proper form.
The Urban Affairs Chair has asked for a suspension of the rules. All those in favor of the suspension? Opposed? Suspension is approved. Councilor Roby.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move to refer to the solicitor to be put in proper form.
Motion made and seconded to refer to the solicitor, put the amended order in proper form. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? Is referred to the solicitor. It's unanimous. Councilor Dumas.
Thank you, Mr. President. The Ward Re-Precincting Committee met on September 29th at 7:30. The committee members were, the chair was myself. Unfortunately, I could not make it. Councilor Wagner and Councilor Irish. They were in attendance. Also in attendance were Councilor Doucette, Perlman, Roby, Navin, Landers, and Councilor President Ossing. We met on the 27th, as mentioned before, with the order number 21-100-8403, communication from City Clerk to propose re-precincting map and census block data. So after some discussion and after City Clerk's explanations of map 1 that was sent to us by the state, we did some refiguring, and then map 2 was also provided, and some discussion as to which was better, map 1 or 2, due to a issue with the polling location in the Glenbrook area. We decided that map 2 was more beneficial and did not disrupt the neighborhood too much. A motion was made by Councilor Irish to recommend the approval of map 2, and that was seconded by the acting chair Wagner, and it was approved 2-0. And then the motion made by Councilor Irish to adjourn, seconded by the chair, and then the meeting adjourned at 8:14. So hopefully this will be on the next meeting for the October 18th, and so we can vote on it full council for map number 2.
Thank you, Councilor Dumas. Are there any other reports of committees? Any other reports of committees? Seeing none, we will move on to agenda item 13.
Order number 21-100-8394A, communication from Michelle Guadagnino and Michael Tutterman requesting to transfer and renew for an additional 5-year term the license for parking on city property by the owners of 56 Emmett Street. The recommendation of the Legislative and Legal Affairs Committee is to approve.
Councilor Roby.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move the recommendation of committee to approve the license.
Motion's made and seconded to approve the order for the parking at 56 Emmett Street. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? It is approved, unanimous. Agenda item 14.
Order number 21-100, 8351, the appointment of John Valade as Principal Assessor for a 3-year term from the date of council confirmation. Recommendation of the Personnel Committee is to approve.
Councilor Dumas.
Thank you, Mr. President. Motion to approve.
Motion made and seconded to approve. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? It is approved, unanimous. Agenda item number 15.
Order number 21-100, 8365, the appointment of Linda Warren to the Council on Aging for a 3-year term from the date of council confirmation. Recommendation of the Personnel Committee is to approve.
Councilor Dumas.
Thank you, Mr. President. Motion to approve.
Motion made and seconded to approve. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? It is approved, unanimous. Agenda item 16.
Order number 21-100, 8372, request for approval of 2 flat wall signs for Val's Plaza, 561 Boston Post Road East in the Wayside District. Recommendation of the Urban Affairs Committee is to approve both signs.
Councilor Roby.
Thank you, Mr. President. I would ask that these be taken one at a time. As I do, I believe all of the councilors received, I have a proposed amendment for one of them. But I would move the recommendation of the committee to approve the value storage sign.
Motion made and seconded to approve the committee's recommendation to approve the design storage sign. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That is approved, unanimous.
Thank you, Mr. President. So there is a recommendation from the committee to approve the store for rent sign. However, I will remind the committee members that Mr. Vouchis had indicated that he would, if we had concerns, just put a blank sign in. After I changed my mind, I went ahead with the vote, but after that discussion, I had a conversation with Pam Wilderman at Code Enforcement and learned that technically this would be a violation of the sign ordinance. It's bigger than what's allowed as a temporary sign, and they're not allowed on the roof. So I have an amendment to the order to approve the installation of a sign box, a 108 by 36 inches containing a blank white panel. Once a tenant has signed a lease, the applicant will submit a new sign permit to the building department specifying the business name to go on the sign inside the 108 by 36 inch sign box. The new sign application will not need to come to City Council for approval.
Motion made and seconded to approve the amended language for the sign. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? That is approved. Do you want to, since we amended it, it's just good as amended then, right? Councilor Roby?
Yes.
You good? Okay. Agenda item number 17.
Order number 21-100, 8367B, proposed job description pursuant to Chapter 125 entitled Personnel, Section 5, preparation of classification descriptions of the code relative to the position of City Collector, Assistant Director of Finance. Recommendation of the Finance Committee is to approve.
Councilor Irish.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move recommendation of committee to approve the proposed job description, please.
Motion made and seconded to approve the job description for the Collector Assistant Finance Director. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. Unanimous. Agenda item 18.
Order number 21-100, 8368B, proposed job description pursuant to Chapter 125 entitled Personnel, Section 5, preparation of classification descriptions of the code relative to the position of Assistant Commissioner of Facilities. Recommendation of the Finance Committee is to approve.
Councilor Irish.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move the recommendation of committee to approve the proposed job description.
Motion's made and seconded to approve the revised or the job description for the DPW Assistant Commissioner of Facilities. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. Unanimous. Agenda item 19.
Order number 21-100, 8389, transfer request in the amount of $93,243, which moves funds from reserve for salaries to sick leave buyback and longevity to fund recent retirements in the Department of Public Works and Police Departments. Recommendation of the Finance Committee is to approve.
Councilor Irish.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move the recommendation of committee to approve the transfer request, please.
Motion made and second to approve the transfer request for the retirements. Any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? It is approved, unanimous. Agenda item 20.
Order number 21-100, 8390, transfer request in the amount of $70,645, which moves funds from Assistant Building Commissioner to Contract Services to fund additional resources to assist within the Building Department. The recommendation of the Finance Committee is to approve.
Councilor Irish.
Thank you, Mr. President. Move recommendation of committee to approve the transfer request.
Motion made and seconded to approve the transfer request. Is there any discussion on the motion? Seeing none, all those in favor? Opposed? It is approved, unanimous. Okay, so before we take up the next two items, this is a refresher for the existing councilors and some insights for the freshman councilors, since we haven't had executive sessions before. All right, so for executive sessions, we're required to read the order, have a roll call vote, and then decide whether or not we will or will not reconvene. So in this particular case, we will not be reconvening. We will read each order, we will do the roll call vote, and then after we complete those votes, City Council meeting will end, and then we will go in the back room to do the executive session. Everybody clear? So we'll take up agenda item number 7. Oh, I'm sorry. Council Perlman.
Councilor Doucette has his hand first, so.
Council Doucette.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. Just for clarification, there's 2 orders and 1 vote?
No, there'll be separate votes.
Separate votes.
Yep.
Thank you for the
Nope,
clarification.
you're good. No, because one's a litigation, one's a negotiation. Yep. Council
This will
Perlman.
take place right afterwards in the back.
Yes, it will.
Can we ask that everyone wear a mask when we're in the back as well?
You can ask that.
Okay, I would ask everyone to wear a mask just given the close proximity.
You can ask that.
Thank you.
Yep. Agenda item number 7.
Move that the Marlborough City Council meet in executive session under Purpose 3 of the Open Meeting Law, Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A3, to discuss strategy with respect to litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the litigating position of the public body regarding the pending matter, WP Marlborough Mass Owner LLC versus Marlborough City Council, Land Court Number 21 MISC 000451, as the chair hereby declares that discussion in an open session may have a detrimental effect on the city and the City Council's litigating position. The City Council will not reconvene in open session after the executive session.
I'll ask the clerk to call the roll.
Councilor Irish.
Yes.
Councilor Navin is absent. Councilor Landers.
Yes.
Councilor Roby.
Yes.
Councilor Dumas.
Yes.
Councilor Ossing.
Yes.
Councilor Wagner.
Yes.
Councilor Doucette.
Yes.
Councilor Oram.
Yes.
Councilor Tenera is absent. Councilor Perlman.
Yes.
9 in favor, 2 absent, sir.
The motion to go into executive session for item number 7 is approved, 9 in favor and 2 absent. Agenda item number 8.
Move that the Marlborough City Council meet in executive session under Purpose 6 of the Open Meeting Law, Mass General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21A6, to consider the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property regarding the property located at 100 Lock Drive. As the chair hereby declares that discussion in an open session may have a detrimental effect on the city and the City Council's negotiating position. The City Council will not reconvene in open session after the executive session.
I'll ask the clerk to call the roll, please.
Councilor Tenera is absent. Councilor Oram.
Yes.
Councilor Roby.
Yes.
Councilor Navin is absent. Councilor Landers.
Yes.
Councilor Perlman.
Yes.
Councilor Wagner.
Yes.
Councilor Doucette.
Yes.
Councilor Irish.
Yes.
Councilor Ossing.
Yes.
Councilor Dumas.
Yes.
9 in favor, sir.
The motion to go into executive session for agenda item number 8 is approved, 9 in favor, 2 not present. So with that, that will conclude the City Council meeting for this evening. We will now convene for the executive session, and we will not be reconvening at the end of the executive session.